13 years, that's not a small journey.
Less of a focus on immigration, and one of them was an international student from India, and she just had nothing but fantastic things. I get to visit a lot of universities around the world. My kids were working when they were 14.
Students need to focus on learning. Hello, Dave. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Danny. It's wonderful to be here. Yeah.
Thank you for coming out. And this was one of the conversation I was looking forward to. Thank you so much again. And Dave, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. My name is Dave McGuire, and I'm the Associate Vice President International at the University of the Fraser Valley. I've been there in charge of the international operations of the university for now 13 years, actually this month. It was May in 2013 when I made the big drive from Ontario out to beautiful British Columbia, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's fantastic out here, as you know. Yeah.
Right. So 13 years, that's not a small journey. It has been really significant.
Yes, there's been a lot of ups and downs over that period, but mostly ups. It's an incredible opportunity that I've had, and it's wonderful to help change people's lives. I'm sure you feel the same way. Yeah.
Right. No, we have been blessed that way to help the younger generation, the students, right, who are actually coming in here and finding the right pathways through University of Fraser Valley.
Yeah, and of course, we love it when they get appropriate guidance, like the guidance that you and your team provide. So
thank you. So Dave, now lots have changed in the past recent year, right? So how do you think, from the university side of things, how is it impacting students, universities in this landscape?
Yeah, so I mean, we get that question a lot when we talk about how it's the changes you're referring to are, of course, the policy changes of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada as a result of what was, most would agree, too much growth too quickly, and the challenges of services and infrastructure in Canada to try and keep up with that growth. So at the spirit of it, I think the changes, they came from a good place in trying to make sure that we, the municipalities, the provinces, and then the country can adequately support the people that we welcome into Canada. I think where a lot of the criticism happens is just in the rollout of the policies and the way things came about. Certainly was open to a lot of criticism. The question you asked was about students. So the impacts to the students, I mean, the students that we have on our campuses, actually, there are a lot of good things that may come as a result of this. I mean, sometimes in terms of recruiting numbers of international students and businesses that rely on those students and customers and local communities, that sort of thing, certainly be impacted. But a lot of the changes that are coming about might make things actually easier for students in the long run when they're here. And I know the province of British Columbia has actually been very good in taking what was previously the Education Quality Assurance Framework and then just a month or so ago making that law. So we are obliged, we're legally obligated to provide a higher level of services to students that we welcome to our campuses now. So that, of course, is a good thing. There's a few other changes that have happened, as you know, being in close proximity to the University of the Fraser Valley. One of those, and again, this is something that we're supposed to provide assistance on settlement integration, that sort of thing. And we now have a beautiful, beautiful new dormitory on campus. We've tripled our capacity to host students on the University of the Fraser Valley campus, and so that's another really good thing that has come about.
No, that's wonderful. So you touched a couple of good points about provincial making sure that we are getting, the province is also making sure that we get good quality students. I think the entire focus is shifting towards that. As they opened it up for all the students, some we can say non-deserving, but now they're making it open for the quality students, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much attention an immigration officer pays to a transcript or grade sheet. Actually, that's more in line with the work that you would do. You would know more about that. But I think rather than framing it up as maybe good students, we when we say that, we often associate that with marks and performance of the class. I think what has happened is more of a shift toward what I would call bona fide students. So people who are coming to Canada to pursue higher education, not because they have some other goal that's related to education as a means to that, but more purely for the sense of gaining what is a wonderful experience in the Canadian post-secondary landscape. So, and that's how things used to be. It was less of a focus on immigration, and I think more of a focus on getting a global mindset and equipping yourself with the global competencies that will inevitably lead you to maybe have a better career or good connections with people from every corner of the globe and that sort of thing. And I think that's the shift where we're seeing a bit more of a focus toward that type of student coming to Canada.
Right. So we can safely say that, like what it was pre these policies, that, like after COVID also, things were good in a way that the students were coming with the intention of studying, with the intention of gaining that global experience, that international experience, going back. Now, so in 2023, I believe they opened up a little too much. So things got sideways that way, right?
Yeah. And, I mean, I can only speak from the perspective of my institution. And when I look at our growth trajectory over that what I call the post-pandemic period, we see some institutions that grew very, very aggressively. We saw some institutions that were pretty flat, and not to make sort of a Goldilocks and the Three Bears comparison, but I think UFV was sort of that happy medium where we had consistent growth, but it was a manageable trajectory of students from the pre-pandemic, post-pandemic stage up to where we had, I think 2023 as well, had hit a high number, but the growth was it was more gradual than in a lot of other institutions. A few in British Columbia has been very good. I think some institutions in other jurisdictions, it's hard to defend the level of growth that they had simply because it was, you had numbers that were stratospheric. But with us, it's been, I think we topped out at about 24% of our full-time equivalent numbers were international. We see some institutions that were up to 50 or higher. So. Yeah, I think that aligns as well with our mandate to serve the community here. That's and of course, it's very important for domestic students to have the ability to interact with students from all over the world. And I don't know where we're at now, 75 different countries. Because the region we're in is so absolutely diverse.
Right.
It's
Yes.
something we forget. I was looking at some statistics a few years ago, and not surprisingly, you look at, Toronto, okay, that's the most diverse. Then you see Vancouver, Montreal is probably up there. I think Calgary too. But in the top 5 for residents born outside of Canada, Abbotsford.
Really?
Yeah. And you think, okay, well, Abbotsford has a very strong connection to India. We have, I believe, it's the oldest Sikh temple in the Americas, just up the street from us here.
Right. Yeah.
But in these statistics, we also saw the number of languages spoken in homes of Abbotsford. It was over 50. Over 50 different languages spoken in the homes of Abbotsford residents. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. And I like to tell people, when you're in such a richly diverse community, you need to be able to connect with these people. And I think the university is a great spot for people to do that at a earlier stage in their life.
Right. And this is, again, like a great mindset to have, when you're coming for international education, as, we hear all the time, I'm sure you must have heard too, students focus on permanent residency, PR, but they forget about the journey of being a student, studying at the international university, outside their home country and meeting all these diverse students from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we were talking earlier over coffee that, that age period of 18 to 24 or whatever, really, that's the time where, you're old enough to experience many things and but young enough that you don't have all the same responsibilities that maybe you and I have to look after. So yeah, it's a really part of your life where students should be able to explore, meet new people, and also explore intellectually. Like I think again that education has somehow been tied so closely, particularly on the international side, to getting a post-graduation work permit and then maybe permanent resident status. Now, don't get me wrong. I think students, regardless of their background, now I find are seeing more of a focus on ROI. So if I study this, what do I get at the end of it? And I think rightly so, but I think we forget the joy of that journey through maybe a 2-year diploma or a 4-year degree and all the great things that can happen along the way, clubs and associations that they can be a part of. I mean, student government, our own governing bodies, the Board of Governors and Senate. We've had fantastic international students as part of those groups. And then, work integrated learning opportunities. Another thing that we do, even in our office, with international students as well, is promote international opportunities for them. Right. So a student might come from, India or Korea, and then they could do a semester in Singapore or in Denmark. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. It's the whole idea again is to have that global experience.
Exactly. Yeah,
right. Now you meet some students at the university from those places. Yep. And now to explore and experience that city or that country, you can go there and have the student pathway to have that experience.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. What we're seeing now, you referenced some government changes earlier. We're hearing a lot of emphasis around work integrated learning, co-op type of activities and that sort of thing. So those two are incredibly important, I think, for students to consider. And like with a lot of activities that require, some planning ahead of time, like study abroad, it's great for students to think about that as early as possible in that educational journey we were talking about, so that they can be as efficient as possible in preparing for something that may be, a year 3 activity.
Correct. Exactly. Year 3 activity. And with that, once they have this experience studying with those diverse students, now the world has already become flat. Now, when they work, right, so they will be working with similar background individuals.
Right.
So they already know each other's culture. They
Right.
can get along. So that's the entire journey that they should be focusing on, right?
Yeah. I mean, as an administrator, sometimes I regret that I don't have enough sort of frontline conversations with students. Maybe not as much as I used to, but every now and then I certainly take every opportunity I can to do that. Recently, I was in Singapore visiting one of our very, very strong university partners there. And as I always do, I try and meet with the UFV students who are at the partner, and one of them was an international student from India, and she just had nothing but fantastic things to say about basically echoing what you and I are talking about here. She had a great experience in her first few years at UFV, and then spent. She might have even extended it to an extra semester, was having a wonderful experience in Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, too. It was a great experience for this young lady. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I can totally relate to that myself, So once you have good journey, you have built, you studied with those diverse students, in a nice, welcoming, friendly community. As you said, now Abbotsford has about 50 speaking different nationalities here. What else do you want? Now, once you study here and with those students, you have gained really world-level experience, right?
Yeah, and then good things will come.
Good things will come.
Like this individual I met with, and the many, many, many others I've met with who've really capitalized on those experiences, like student government or co-op. By the time they get to their educational journey, they're really able to select from the different opportunities of employment at the end of that journey. I often tell people, it's not people who are hiring. They don't look at your transcript and say, "Oh, Danny, I see you got a B+ in math. Why don't you tell me about that?"
Right.
They really want to know what you did with your experience, and did you take on a leadership role? Can you demonstrate that you're a team player? And these are things that I'm certainly at the University of the Fraser Valley, from what I've seen, is there's plenty of opportunities for students to gain those skills. But it's just the institution has to make sure that we're telling people about the opportunities, and students have to listen and take advantage of them.
And I think that's part of the co-op as well, right? So once all UFE now has co-op placements as well, right? So all these companies visit, so they ask them the similar questions what you just mentioned, like not just the grades, what are you experiencing, those leadership qualities, right?
Yep, that's right. And we, in addition to traditional co-op, there's the more, sort of a broader term that is work integrated learning, or, we have experiential learning opportunities too, that the umbrella is even wider. But these are things where someone can demonstrate, competencies outside of the classroom, where they take what they've learned in the classroom and then apply it somewhere else. And once you can start making the bridge between learning something and doing something, then, I think employers really start to pay attention to that.
Absolutely. And that's the key thing that they're looking for, And again, as you mentioned, employers don't see B+, A+. I mean, there can be
Luckily for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. There can be somebody, who has A+, still not landing up a job, but somebody who has mix of all the grades, but still developed himself or herself as a leader, the outgoing personality that university imparts, that education and that confidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So those things. So coming back to now the landscape, as
Mm.
Immigration Canada, students, again, as we talk about it, all the time, students worry about work permits, permanent residency. Those are secondary things that will automatically come, right? So if student has had a good grades, a good education, and then they've got the good job, the PR will automatically follow that. Instead of focusing on those things from immigration point of view, they should be focusing on the journey.
Yes, yeah, and the past few years have taught me not to think that anything will be a guarantee. That's for sure. But I think those who focus on the journey and those who capitalize on
Yes.
the various opportunities that our wonderful institutions have available, absolutely good things will come.
Good things will come. Now, great. So, talking from the university's point of view, University of Fraser Valley. So once the student comes in, so you have new dormitory that you mentioned in place now for them to stay and all. So what kind of students support they can expect,
Yeah, I mean, our student support journey happens very early on, and in fact, I will, our relationship.
Yes.
We like to ensure that those who are advising students are doing a good job of that. So there's training available. There's regular check-ins, kind of like we've been doing here. And then the earlier a student gets their application in, then they're in our system for regular, email updates and newsletters and that sort of thing. And again, the longer that part of it is, it's essentially like the first stage of an orientation that's happens when you're still in your home country. So with us in UFV and UFV International, not surprisingly, again, given our location here and through the 120-year history of migration, particularly from northern India to here, we've opened an office in Punjab in Chandigarh,
Right. Yeah.
and so we start offering student supports right there. So a student who's applied, we get them in, we talk about what the next steps that they can expect. I see your iSend app bag there. So we walk students through the various tools that we use to try and get them into that mindset of preparation for sort of pre-departure and then what to expect when they're landing. And then when they do land, it's amazing that the students that we talk to in country and then we see on campus here, it's almost like they've already had an orientation. They come to the campus a few days early and just check out where the classroom is.
Right.
Rather than back, you remember back in the days many years ago, people would show up to the international office with a suitcase and
Yes.
and look for guidance. That's certainly those days are behind us. There's orientation, in many different forms.
Right.
And then what we call a day one when they arrive. They get to know the landscape, of course, housing, and guiding people to the resources in the community is very important. For those who are living off campus, we do workshops on tenant rights because you don't know the laws of the new country you're in. Cultural type of activities where the students have a peer mentoring program in our global lounge where we have that available as well. It's a Friends Without Borders program, we call that. And then we do some fun stuff too where we go into Vancouver take a bus into Vancouver or maybe out to Chilliwack and so on and so forth. Basically, we've taken orientation and kind of said, all right, we own year one.
Right.
And what we try and do in UFV International is to convey to students that their home away from home is our global lounge. And if you need anything, you come to our global lounge and we will direct as necessary. What we've seen is that by the time students are at the end of year one, they're comfortable going to the to access all the services
Right.
that my wonderful colleagues in other parts of the university are able to provide. They get that comfort level and, hopefully maximize their experience. Yeah.
No, that's wonderful, wonderfully said. And now you have this campus in like office in Chandigarh. That's orientation before orientation, right?
Orientation before orientation.
So
sure,
the real
that's-
orientation happens here,
yeah.
right? And students still get pre-warmed up, what they're expecting. So they're not, it's going to a new country stressed out or what will happen. Where, as you said, students walking up with luggage to the office, right?
Yeah.
So they know what they're expecting. And they get at least half of the questions answered right there about landlords, how to navigate through that, right?
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of steps that a student has to take before they actually step into their first classroom. And what we try and do is make them aware of those steps so that when they get an email that says, this is very important, you got to make sure you click here, or read this. It's hammered home a little bit more because they would have been told about, I can only imagine what your inbox looks
Correct.
like. We get so many emails. Sometimes we become, desensitized to them. But if somebody tells you you're going to get an email that has this header, you really have to pay attention to it. Another thing we do is we've partnered with a company called Goin. And this is an application that was developed with the assistance or support of the Dutch government, a young group of developers. They created this app that was kind of like a sheltered social media hub for students that were being mobile. And what and it's got different communities within it. So students who are looking for roommates or students who are looking for part-time jobs or that sort of thing. And it's also a way for students to connect with other students before they've set foot here on campus.
That's amazing. We would like to know. Thank you for saying that because, students ask us all the time, is there anybody or group that we can join or get to know about? Because students listening from students, that's, they get comfortable with
Yes.
that. Because this student has already been through that journey.
Right.
Now, the comfortability factor is there about that.
Yeah. And students listening to especially, we have our own kind of volunteers that are part of this. It's not an administrative thing.
Right. Okay.
It's monitored by the sort of Goin supervisors, I guess. So, there's no cyberbullying or anything like that. But it's students talking with students about things that interest students.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll get your link of that from
Sure,
you,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
I can
yeah.
share in my podcast right there at the bottom there.
Yeah, Goin app.
Goin app.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Well, it's GOIN apostrophe, like going, but short.
Okay, Goin app.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. This is a very remarkable thing
it's
that you
cool.
mentioned.
Yeah.
For all our viewers to get to know about this one.
Yeah, and they get it. When they've applied, we direct them to it. We say, this is how you can access it. It's not open to the public. It's for our students. Yeah.
Right. So university basically is looking after students right from they have done the application, that pre-orientation. Once they are here, they get full support for that first year, as you said, and then they develop that understanding of how things work in university in Canada. Now they are market ready, they're getting ready for things here, right?
This is I get to visit a lot of universities around the world.
Right.
I'm very, very fortunate that my role allows me to do that. In general, in my opinion, very few jurisdictions around the world can match the level of service and support that Canadian post-secondary institutions offer to students. Here at UFV, the University of the Fraser Valley, I'm extremely happy with the work that our own team has been doing, but colleagues in every corner of the institution, and the faculty members provide an incredible level of support in terms of guidance on maybe a direction for employment or that sort of thing. So every touch point, you have people that are really willing to go the extra mile for students. That's something that has absolutely not changed at all over the past tumultuous last couple of years. And when we look at our statistics around, student persistence and graduation rates and retention, they are just off the charts. For our international students, they stick with it. They do well. And then, thankfully, every year, we get to see those faces walk across the stage at Convocation, which is now just about 5 weeks away. It's the happiest time of the year for myself and for all of my wonderful colleagues that I work with at UFV. You can just see the joy in everyone's on everyone's faces. It's great. Yeah.
Right. No, and I can totally vouch for that as well. I've been working with myself, University of the Fraser Valley for about 8 years now, and I can attest to that. Students. Not one student has ever complained about, not getting that support that was needed and they didn't get it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good.
So, so student success pathways there. Now, how about the employment opportunities for students, So once, I know could be hard for you to answer that, but the companies visiting the multinationals or placement, once they have crossed that journey. So in which year or after the graduation, how does that work,
So that's not something that I'm intimately involved in day to day, but I'm going to go back a little bit and I'm going to steal a line that a good friend of mine, Gurneet Anand, who's now at the University of British Columbia, used to say. Students would ask him, they would say, is it harder for an international student to get a job than a domestic student? And he would say, no. But, and 5-10 minutes ago, we were talking about all those different opportunities that students need to take advantage of, capitalize on as they're going through their educational journey. Now, that in different cultures around the world, when students typically start to work, right? In Canada, it's at a very young age. My kids were working when they were 14.
Wow. Okay.
So if you have an 18 or a 20-year-old who's come, across an ocean or two to UFV or one of our many institutions here in British Columbia, and they've never had a work experience, but they are competing against someone who's been working since they were 14. That means, by the time my daughter was 20, she had she had a resume.
She had a resume,
and sometimes we forget and you run a very successful business, so you get resumes from people.
Yes, absolutely.
If someone has never had any work experience or any experience that can easily be, bridged to the work environment, it's difficult for you to again, as a business person, to be confident that person's going to do a good job. So, again, the university has all kinds of supports and structures and opportunities set up, resume writing workshops, interview workshops, as you noted, the education fairs, that sort of thing. But people need to take advantage of those. And when they do, again, good things will likely come because they will have documented what they have done. And it doesn't have to be an amazing, high-paying job that they had. It could be volunteer experience. It could be governance experience, maybe an international experience, working on campus. There's tons of jobs available for students on campus.
And students, whoever works through those jobs, they are actually set up for the success.
Generally. I agree. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And again, as we were talking about, so students need to focus on learning enjoying that experience of that journey,
Yes.
then they become confident in the process, and then once they go for interviews, they are already set to get those jobs.
Yeah, and the one of those opportunities could be research with a faculty member. I mean,
Right.
and now we're a primarily undergraduate institution, and we focus on applied education, but there's all kinds of wonderful research that happens at the institution too. Because we're primarily undergraduate, a lot of the students that may be really interested in something that a niche area that their professor may be working on, they might get a job working with the professor.
Right.
And because we don't have hundreds of graduate students in graduate programming, the professors will then tap the shoulder of an undergraduate student and say, "Hey, do you want to work together on this article?" We have students who are published
already,
in their undergraduate level, because they don't have to compete with as many masters, or they don't compete with PhD students at our own institution. So that's another opportunity. It's not it's a different type of work, but it's absolutely work as well.
And again, they're getting different, as you said, different opportunity to work in not just those administrative jobs or some other thing, but there's an avenue for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So now, what is the approach of the University of Fraser Valley now? Like, what kind of students do you expect? Is there any filtration right now because of the policies that have changed provincially or from the Immigration Canada? Do you see something like that?
So we are a regionally focused institution that has an access mandate for our community. So, on the international side, I don't necessarily think the same level of access that we extend to our local residents is necessarily there. But yeah, we do it for people who are interested in pursuing education. We try and find a path for them, because not everyone may have had the same preparatory experiences. But in terms of the statistics that we're looking at in the application pool, we're seeing a much bigger focus on degree programming. Yeah. And again, I think this is maybe getting back to perhaps how things were, 10 or 15 years ago, especially with universities, because universities offer degrees, and many colleges offer degrees too. But I think because of the post-graduation work permits that do come along with a degree, where we don't necessarily have to tie them to the SIP codes of a diploma that might qualify a student for a post-graduation work permit. We are seeing a bit more of a focus on degrees. Now, whether or not that's the reason, I'm not entirely sure, but that could be one. We're seeing a lot more diversity. We have been active in India for a very, very long time. And of course, there were some diplomatic challenges between Canada and India that probably set us back in terms of international relations a little bit, and that caused some problems. But I think things are starting to get back on track. But yeah, of course, when we see any application, we like to treat them with care and attention. But in terms of what we're seeing in our application pool, yeah, it's a little bit more diversity, a little bit more of a focus on, quite a bit actually, focus on degree programming versus diploma programming. Yeah.
And that's a great thing to do as well, like degree program, like 4 years degree. And now students, they get summer off, they can work full time, right? Even immigration side of things, like they allow you to work full time. They're getting set for lifetime. Diplomas, I think, were not or they don't give as much value as degrees do. right? And those students are set for success later on.
Mm-hmm.
Overall and career-wise as well. And from immigration point of view, I can say that degrees always get the more points. If somebody's actually looking for that, enjoy the journey, get the points and everything.
On that too, we're seeing, interestingly, we're seeing some students try and learn Canada's other official language as well, and in on the west coast of Canada, we maybe don't see the French language as prominent here as the eastern part where I'm from, but it's as a Canadian, I always am hit with a little bit of pride when I see an international student want to minor or major in the French language, which is actually pretty cool. And in some cases, they're thinking, well, if I'm going to maybe apply for something down the road, maybe they're just interested in that educational journey and learning another language, but never hurts to know the second official language of the country that you're in. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So, University of Fraser Valley has French language.
We have French. Yeah, we have
nice.
Yeah, it's. We actually had a workshop in our global lounge where we had the representatives from the College of Arts come and give a presentation with some of our in-house immigration advisors too on the benefits of learning French. So that's something that's I never would have thought really back maybe 10 years ago that would be an area of focus. But good for them. I mean, I studied a number of languages. I think it's great that students are looking at French.
Right, and it's a global language kind of, right? I mean, I still remember when I was in India, like where I studied from my my bachelor's degree, they were offering French, as a second language there too.
Good.
And it's a good. I mean, it's any language is a good language as it is. Your mind opens up. You learn new things. You learn new culture. Right, and why not? And especially if you are planning to settle in Canada now, it's a second official language. If you want to go to government offices, jobs and all, it will support you.
Absolutely, yeah, right. Yeah. It's a good one to have on your CV when you're looking for jobs. That's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's why I think from immigration side, they are issuing more draws towards French categories. If you know French, come on it. We don't know the reason, but they are supporting those individuals for sure.
Yeah.
So, no, it's good to know that University of the Fraser Valley has this French, majoring in French, they can do a degree as well.
Yeah, Bachelor of Arts.
Bachelor.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a great program. And it's as I said, it's very, it's nice to see more international students looking at that and other programs that maybe, many years ago weren't quite as popular with an international audience.
Right. No, great, Dave. So we have covered points, as from education side, the journey side, employability. Now, French language, definitely. Now, from the perspective of future, like how are things looking for future? Any student coming to Canada now and studying at the university, what do you see a future for them as compared to what it was earlier? How would you rate that? Yeah.
So, strictly looking at it from a perspective of numbers, the number of temporary residents in Canada is decreasing. I mean, that's the government has been transparent. You can like it or not like it, but they had a target and they said we want to reach this target. Now, for a student who gets here, and we know there are all kinds of steps and headaches and maybe tears along the way, but they will be welcomed with an incredibly supportive community. They'll be given a number of opportunities to capitalize on their experience here. And frankly, I think there will be less competition.
Right.
We're going to be in for a few difficult years, I think, as the ground sort of settles from the problems and challenges of the last few years. But students who land on our shores here and become active on our campuses, I think are going to benefit. They will have, fewer people to compete against in the job market, and before I think we had a very strong set of supports and programming and all that sort of thing at UFV, but there's fewer students, and there's even more attention on those students. So it's kind of a win, I would say, for students who come here. Yeah,
exactly. And I think, as you said, so students coming now actually is the right time for them to come in now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Few years down the line, once they graduate, as you said, less competition then. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Markani, he's doing great things. He's developing on infrastructure. I mean, I heard his, we keep listening to his news here and there, right? So he's investing on infrastructure, so many things bringing in here. So they will need people, right?
Well, yeah, that's where most people are going. They're like, well, we're planning to do a whole bunch of things, build homes, increase the size of the Canadian Armed Forces, and all these sorts of things. These are things that require people. Yeah. Right. So, maybe pipelines. I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's statistically, like I just read some news there that this year the Canada's, like British Columbia or Canada, it was like the population growth was stable. It did not increase.
Right.
Right now, over the years, if the trend stays, we will need more workers at the time later on.
Yeah.
That's so that we will need more qualified individuals. Now, who's here, has studied in Canada, worked in Canada, will be the right individual as it is for Canada to accept.
Young and healthy.
For permanent residency, right?
Yeah.
And that's the eventual goal, say it or not, students expect that. We say you will get it, but enjoy everything, get the value, learn, and get your work permits and all. Then you will get what you want exactly eventually, with giving what Canada wants as well, right?
Yeah. So I think, your question was about future outlook. I think for students, it's overwhelmingly positive.
Right.
Again,
absolutely,
for your line of work and my line of work, that there are certainly some challenges, as there are anytime there's a major shift. But the future outlook for students is positive. And as I said before, I was proud of the services, supports, programming, the faculty mentorship, all that sort of thing that University of the Fraser Valley offers, and there are even more of those opportunities available now.
No, wonderful. No, thank you so much, Dave. And viewers, as we discussed, we got great insight from Mr. McGuire here about the student journey, the students, what should they focus on, and the learning that they should be focusing on, rather than just focusing on work permits or permanent residencies. I mean, they will get it, but thank you for sharing that insight. One last piece of advice for the students, that honest advice that you would like to share for the coming students, okay, we've discussed most of it, but any one more piece of advice if you would like to share.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much available online now that you can almost transport yourself anywhere. And, there are, YouTube, there's Instagram. I would say over the course of a year, subscribe or like, whatever the proper terminology is, for social media feeds from some of the institutions that you're interested in. You get a sense and feel for what the campus is like before actually coming. And I'm not sure how robust your online presence is, but I would also say the same thing for those who are seeking advice on assistance for their application and immigration. There are so many different choices out there for someone to pursue education or pursue advice in your field as well. And the vast majority do a wonderful job. But sometimes, people get led astray. So don't make any rush decisions. You got a long runway to sort of figure it out. And I think students should take advantage of that time and take advantage of the resources that are available right at their fingertips. Yeah, I would also like to thank you for having me here, Danny. It's always special coming to your office. We contemplated whether we should walk over here or drive. It would have taken a little bit more to walk, but it's great to have a partner like you that is literally 3 blocks from the campus. So you can speak, from the heart about what the city is like, what the students are like, what the campus feel is like, and we enjoy working with you as well, and appreciate you guiding the students the way you have over these past 8 years or so.
Thank you so much, Dave, and means a lot. See, I've been in Abbotsford now for over 10 years,
Right.
and 8 years I've been working with UFV, and it's part of family now. It doesn't feel like that we are working somewhere else. It's nothing. So it's like more of, okay, I need anything, I call your registrar office.
Come on over.
Come on over. I need this help. Student need this help. So I'm able to do that faster for the students. And I feel proud to be associated that we get that help instantly. It's like a 911 call. Not emergency, but dial up that speed dial number, and we get that service, right?
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So I love working with UFE, and again, thank you so much for coming over. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations along the way as we go along, more insights when we get to that.
Absolutely. Great.
Thank you so much. Yeah.